Picture this, a 21-year-old forward stepping onto the NBA floor with the confidence of a veteran, the hunger of a rookie, and the ambition of someone who refuses to settle for less. That's Jonathan Kuminga. The Golden State Warriors drafted him in 2021, and ever since, he's been one of the league's most fascinating young players. Now, Kuminga is betting big on himself, aiming not just for consistency or improvement, but for elite contract status. It's a bold aspiration, especially in a league where only the very best secure max-level deals. But if there's one thing Kuminga has shown, it's that he's not afraid of challenges. Whether it's breaking into a championship-caliber rotation or proving his worth on a team with Hall of Fame talent around him. To really understand this story, we need to look back. When Kuminga entered the league as the 7th overall pick, he was viewed as a raw but explosive athlete. Scouts raved about his physical gifts: 6'8", strong build, quick first step, and defensive versatility. But they also labeled him a project, a player who needed time to refine his decision-making, ball handling, and shooting consistency. In Golden State, a franchise built on championship urgency, that meant limited opportunities. Early on, Kuminga struggled with irregular minutes, adjusting to a system that prized ball movement, patience, and high basketball IQ. Yet, even in those short bursts, flashes of his upside kept fans and analysts buzzing. The turning point came during stretches where injuries hit the Warriors' veteran core. Suddenly, Kuminga had bigger roles, and he made the most of them. He showed the ability to guard multiple positions, run the floor like a sprinter, and finish with authority at the rim. His mid-range jumper and corner three-pointers started clicking, forcing defenses to respect him more. But it wasn't just the highlights. It was his growing confidence. The way he carried himself, like he belonged among the league's rising stars. For a young player on a team stacked with names like Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green, that confidence wasn't arrogance, it was survival. Now, with the Warriors entering a transitional phase, the spotlight on Kuminga is brighter than ever. Golden State has tough choices to make regarding contracts, roster direction, and future building. Veterans are aging, cap space is tight, and the franchise needs a bridge between its championship past and its uncertain future. Kuminga sees that opportunity as his stage. By aspiring to elite contract status, he's signaling not only his personal ambition, but also his belief that he can be a franchise cornerstone. That's no small statement, especially for a player still proving his consistency. But it's also the kind of mindset that separates stars from role players. What exactly does elite contract status mean in the NBA? We're talking about max or near-max deals, contracts reserved for players who either lead teams in scoring, carry franchises to playoff success, or dominate defensively at a historic level. These deals aren't handed out easily. They come with expectations, media scrutiny, and the pressure to deliver every single night. For Kuminga to reach that level, he must show more than flashes. He needs to build a track record of sustained production, 20-plus points per game, strong defensive numbers, and leadership that elevates teammates. It's a steep climb, but it's also the dream of every young star in the making. The encouraging part is that Kuminga has already demonstrated growth that suggests this dream isn't far-fetched. Over his last season, his scoring efficiency improved, his minutes increased, and his ability to create his own shot looked far more polished. He's also shown better discipline on defense, no longer biting on fakes as often, and learning to use his athleticism more strategically. The Warriors coaching staff has praised his work ethic, pointing out that Kuminga spends long hours refining his jumper and studying film. For a player once criticized for inconsistency, these improvements speak volumes about his focus and maturity. Still, the path ahead isn't without challenges. The Warriors' system remains heavily centered on Curry's unique offensive gravity, meaning Kuminga has to find his spots without disrupting the flow. There's also the question of roster competition. how his role shifts depending on who else stays or goes. Will Golden State give him more freedom to be a primary option, or will he continue to play as a complementary piece? That balance will heavily influence his chances of securing the type of contract he's aiming for. It's not just about talent, it's about opportunity and trust within the organization. Beyond his on-court performance, Kuminga also understands the business side of the NBA. Elite contracts aren't just about stats. They're about marketability, star power, and the ability to carry a franchise brand. Kuminga, with his charisma and international background, has the potential to appeal globally. Originally from the Democratic Republic of Congo, his story resonates with fans around the world. If he continues to rise, he could position himself not just as a basketball star, but as a global ambassador for the game. That narrative adds weight to his bet on himself. He's aiming for something bigger than just numbers on a contract. Critics, however, argue that Kuminga isn't quite ready for that leap. They point out his streaky shooting, occasional lapses in defensive focus, and tendency to force plays under pressure. Some analysts believe he still needs another season or two of steady growth before being considered for elite money. And they're not wrong. The NBA is filled with talented players who looked promising but never fully delivered. For Kuminga, avoiding that path means staying locked in. What makes Kuminga's bet fascinating is the timing. The Warriors are at a crossroads. Curry is still playing at an elite level, but the clock is ticking. Thompson and Green's futures are uncertain. The franchise can't afford to mismanage its young assets. If Kuminga proves himself as a reliable 20-point scorer and versatile defender, Golden State may have no choice but to invest heavily in him. Otherwise, another team might swoop in with a massive offer. That's the reality of today's NBA. Young talent with upside rarely stays under the radar for long. In interviews, Kuminga has kept his messaging confident yet measured. He doesn't openly demand a max contract, but he makes it clear that he believes in his value. He talks about wanting to help his team win, wanting to be a leader, and wanting to set an example for young players who look up to him. That blend of self-belief and team-first attitude is refreshing in a league where contract negotiations often turn messy. It shows that Kuminga isn't just betting on money. He's betting on his ability to grow into the kind of player who truly earns that level of investment. From a fan perspective, the excitement is real. Warriors supporters love the idea of Kuminga as the next big piece to carry the team forward. They see the dunks, the energy, and the highlight plays and imagine what a larger role could mean. Nationally, he's starting to gain attention from analysts who believe he could make a major leap in the next season. Social media buzz reflects this too. Clips of Kuminga flying through the air or locking down top scorers are shared widely, fueling the narrative that his breakout moment is just around the corner. Of course, a breakout doesn't happen overnight. It's the product of hours of unseen work, mental resilience, and the ability to handle the grind of an 82-game season. Kuminga knows that, and that's why his bet is so compelling. It's not about instant results, but about projecting himself into the future. He's saying, I can be one of those guys, one of the names you can't leave off all-star ballots. One of the players franchises are built around. One of the few who earn contracts that symbolize not just talent, but trust and leadership. That kind of self-belief is rare, and it's part of what makes his journey worth watching. So where does this bold bet leave Jonathan Kuminga right now? On the edge of something big. He's already proven he belongs in the league. He's already shown glimpses of stardom. Now comes the test, turning potential into production, flashes into consistency, ambition into reality. If he succeeds, the bet pays off with an elite contract and a new chapter as the face of Golden State's future, or perhaps even another franchise willing to go all in on his talent. Either way, one thing is clear: Jonathan Kuminga isn't waiting for permission. He's chasing greatness on his own terms, and the basketball world is watching closely.